Lieutenant John Miller yawned as he watched the clock on the wall of Outpost Sierra. 3 more hours until his night shift ended. The outpost sat at the edge of space that humans controlled. Its job was to warn Earth about dangers and pass messages along. But most days nothing happened. The room was quiet except for the soft beeps of computers and the hum of air filters. John sipped his coffee and looked at the star map on the main screen. Tiny dots of light showed human colonies spreading out from Earth. The farthest one, Arcturus, blinked blue at the edge of the map. The peaceful quiet suddenly broke. "Lieutenant, we've got something," Samantha Wright called from her station. Her voice was tight with worry as her hands moved quickly over her screen. John rushed to her side. "What is it?" "A distress call, sir, from Arcturus colony." Samantha's face looked pale in the blue light of her screen. John leaned closer. On the screen, jumbled words appeared between bursts of static. The message was breaking up, but what came through made John's blood run cold. "Under attack. Strange ships. Many dead. Need help now." The message cut out, then came back with more broken pieces. "They're inside our walls. Won't answer our calls. Please. Anyone?" John stood straight, his military training taking over. His heart beat faster, but his mind became clear and focused. "When did we get this message?" he asked. "About 4 hours ago, sir. It came through." "The quantum network." John nodded. The quantum network could send messages instantly across great distances, but only in short bursts. That's why the message was broken. "Send a code red alert to Admiral Rogers right away. This is an emergency." As Samantha sent the alert, John looked at the map again. Arcturus colony was home to 30,000 people. It started as a place for scientists, then grew into a bustling community with families, schools, and farms. It was humanity's proudest achievement in space. If someone had attacked it, this would be the first attack on humans in space in 15 years. The doors slid open and Captain Alan Green walked onto the command deck. His face was serious as he joined John by the map. "I heard the message," Green said. "Fleet Command agrees this is serious. They're sending the 7th Battle Group." John felt a flutter of both fear and pride. The 7th Battle Group was the most powerful fleet humans had ever built. 12 massive ships filled with the best weapons, the fastest fighters, and the most skilled soldiers. Other military people called them the Undertakers, in hushed voices. They were the force you sent when nothing else would do. "Bring up visuals of Arcturus," Green ordered. The main screen changed to show the last images sent from Arcturus before the attack. The colony was beautiful. Blue oceans, green fields, and white buildings that gleamed in the light of its sun. 30,000 people lived there, working to build humanity's future among the stars. John thought of his cousin Olivia. She had moved to Arcturus last year to help make the planet more like Earth. Was she safe? Was she even alive? "Sir, we're getting sensor readings from the colony," said Officer Ben Wilson from his station. "Multiple explosions detected on the surface, and there are unknown ships in orbit." Green's face hardened. "Can we identify them?" "No, sir. They don't match any known designs. Not human and not any alien race we've met before." The command deck fell silent. In the 15 years since humans had started building colonies in space, they had met 7 other intelligent species. 4 were friendly, 2 were cautious but peaceful, and 1, the Centauri, kept their distance but hadn't caused trouble. This was something new. Something dangerous. "What about our defenses at Arcturus?" John asked. Wilson shook his head. "The colony's defense grid is offline. Their military ships, they're gone." Green turned to face his team. His eyes were like steel. "This isn't a rescue mission anymore. This is a response. Whoever attacked our people will learn what happens when you attack humanity." As the outpost burst into activity, John tried to focus on his job, but his mind kept going back to Olivia and the 30,000 other people at Arcturus. "Sir," Samantha called out. Admiral Rogers is responding to our alert. The main screen changed to show Admiral Kate Rogers on the bridge of her flagship. Her uniform was perfect. Her gray hair pulled back tightly. Her eyes showed no fear, only determination. Captain Green, we've received your alert. The 7th Battle Group is preparing to jump to Arcturus now. What are your orders, Admiral? Green asked. Find survivors, identify the attackers, and deliver the full force of human military power if they're still there. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of command. No one attacks a human colony without consequences. Yes, Admiral. What about Earth? Should we alert the civilian population? Rogers thought for a moment. Not yet. Let's not start a panic until we know what we're dealing with. The 7th Battle Group will handle this. As the call ended, John looked at the red dot that now marked Arcturus on the map. In all of human history, no military force had ever been as powerful as the 7th Battle Group. 12 ships carrying enough firepower to reduce a planet to ash. The most trained soldiers, the best pilots, and weapons that could cut through almost any defense, and they were angry. Lieutenant Miller, Captain Green said, you're being reassigned. Admiral Rogers wants you on the Harbinger as a tactical officer. Your knowledge of Arcturus colony will be valuable. John nodded. The Harbinger was Admiral Rogers' flagship, the largest and most powerful ship in the fleet. Yes, sir. When do I leave? Now. There's a transport waiting to take you to Jupiter Station. The fleet jumps in 6 hours. As John gathered his things, he looked one last time at the image of Arcturus on the screen. Somewhere down there, people were fighting for their lives. Or perhaps they were already dead. Either way, humanity's deadliest fleet was coming, and they would not show mercy to whoever had sent those 30,000 people crying for help. As he headed for the transport, John heard Captain Green's words to the command staff. Today, someone made the worst mistake possible. They attacked humans and thought we wouldn't respond. They're about to learn how wrong they were. Jupiter Station buzzed with activity. Soldiers ran back and forth, supply crates moved on hovering platforms, and mechanics made last-minute fixes to fighter ships. The sound of boots on metal floors, shouted orders, and warning alarms filled the air. In the middle of this storm of activity walked Admiral Kate Rogers. Her gray uniform had no wrinkles, and her face showed no fear, only solid determination. She moved with purpose through the main hangar where ships were being prepared for battle. Commander Eric Jordan hurried to catch up with her. Admiral, the fleet is almost ready. Give me the details, Kate said without slowing down. The Harbinger will be ready in 20 minutes. The other 11 ships are at 93% battle ready. We've loaded the special weapons you asked for the antimatter bombs and the new quantum torpedoes. Kate looked around the huge hangar. Thousands of crew members rushed to prepare the fleet. Fighter pilots checked their small, fast ships. Weapon crews loaded missiles and checked laser cannons. Medical teams stored supplies for the wounded they might soon treat. What do we know about who attacked Arcturus? Kate asked. Eric frowned. Not much, Admiral. Based on the broken messages and our long-range scans, it's a species we've never seen before. Not the Centauri or any other aliens we know. This was bad news. In the years since humans had started exploring space, they had met 7 different alien civilizations. 4 were friendly. 2 had been hostile at first, but later became cautious friends. The 7th, the Centauri, kept their distance but didn't cause trouble. An 8th species showing up without warning and attacking humans? That had never happened before. Any news from Arcturus? Any survivors? Kate asked as they walked toward her ship. Eric's face darkened. We've lost all contact with the colony. Our scans show lots of heat spots that look like bombing from space. Their defense system is completely dead. Kate felt cold anger build inside her, but she kept her face calm. How many people lived there? 32,417 people as of last month's count. Kate stopped walking and turned to face Eric directly. Make sure every ship captain knows our mission. First, find survivors. Second, identify the enemy. Third, destroy them if they're still there. If these attackers are still at Arcturus, they'll learn why people call us the Undertakers. As they neared the entrance to the Harbinger, Kate's massive flagship, she noticed a woman in a white lab coat waiting nearby. The woman wasn't military. She stood tall with a serious look on her face. "Admiral," Eric said, "this is Dr. Laura Bennett from the Alien Language Department. She insisted on joining the mission. She's our best expert on talking to new species." Dr. Bennett stepped forward. "Admiral Rogers, I know this is mainly a military mission, but if we're meeting a new alien species, we need someone who can try to communicate with them." Kate looked the scientist up and down. "Doctor, I appreciate you wanting to help, but this isn't a friendly first meeting. This is a response to an attack on our people. With respect, Admiral, we don't know why they attacked. It could be a huge misunderstanding. Maybe they tried to talk to us and something went wrong. 30,000 civilians, Doctor, that's not a simple misunderstanding." Laura didn't give up. "All the more reason to have someone who might be able to talk to them and stop more people from dying, on both sides." Kate thought about this for a moment, then gave a short nod. "Fine. You can join my staff on the Harbinger. But understand, this, if they shoot at my ships, I will hit back with everything we have." As they boarded the flagship, loud alarms began to sound throughout the station. The fleet was leaving soon. Inside the Harbinger, crew members secured equipment for takeoff. Tech teams did final checks on weapon systems, and pilots prepared their fighters. In her private office, Kate looked at the final report about the attackers. The pictures were fuzzy, taken from the colony's defense satellites before they were destroyed. The alien ships were dark and sharp-angled with no visible engines. They moved in strange patterns that didn't make sense to human military experts. Whatever humanity was facing, it was unlike anything they had seen before. But Kate was sure of one thing: the 7th Battle Group would not fail. The Harbinger disconnected from Jupiter Station and the other 11 ships formed up around it. Kate sent a message to everyone in the fleet. "All hands, this is Admiral Rogers. We are responding to an attack on Arcturus colony by unknown enemies. Our mission is clear. Find survivors, protect human interests, and send a strong message to those who threatened our people. The 7th doesn't start fights, but we finish them. Rogers out." The fleet sped toward the jump point where they would enter the faster-than-light tunnel that would take them to Arcturus in 18 hours. 18 hours to prepare for whatever waited for them. 18 hours for the attackers to learn they had made a terrible mistake. On the bridge of the Harbinger, Kate stood looking at the main screen showing their destination. The stars stretched and then blurred as the ship entered FTL speed. Behind her, crew members worked at their stations. "Weapon status?" Kate asked. "All weapons armed and ready, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Greg Barnes from the tactical station. "Main plasma cannons at full charge, missile tubes loaded, shield generators at maximum capacity." Kate nodded. "And our special package?" Greg lowered his voice. "The Nova bomb is secured in Bay 3, Admiral. It's ready if needed." The Nova bomb was humanity's most destructive weapon, capable of making a star go supernova if detonated inside it. It had never been used in battle before. Kate hoped it wouldn't be needed now, but she had made sure to bring every weapon available. Dr. Bennett stood nearby, listening. "Admiral, I hope you're not planning to use that. A Nova bomb would destroy the entire star system, including any survivors on Arcturus." "It's a last resort, Doctor," Kate said firmly, "but I want the attackers to know we have the power to end them completely if they force our hand." As the ship sped through FTL space, Kate turned to Commander Jordan. "Show me the colony again." The main screen changed to show images of Arcturus before the attack. Beautiful blue oceans, green fields, and white buildings under a golden sun. 32,000 people had called it home. Kate's eyes hardened. "When we find who did this, they will pay, that's a promise." The flagship Harbinger led the way, its massive engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. Behind it came the rest of the fleet, the destroyers Eagle and Falcon, the cruisers Valiant, Defender, and Guardian, the carriers Phoenix and Pegasus with their hundreds of fighter craft, and the support ships filled with Marines, medical teams, and supplies. Together, they formed the 7th Battle Group, the deadliest fleet humanity had ever built, and they were coming for revenge. The 7th Battle Group burst out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 12 massive ships arranged like an arrow, their weapons hot and shields at full power. In front of them floated the planet Arcturus, once a beautiful blue-green world, now scarred with dark marks that could be seen even from space. Fires still burned across the northern half of the planet, where most people had lived. "Multiple ships detected," announced Lieutenant Craig Foster from his station on the bridge of the Harbinger. 17 unknown vessels in orbit around Arcturus. "Admiral." Kate Rogers stood tall at the center of the bridge. "What type of ships are they?" "Unknown design, Admiral. They match what we saw in the scans from the colony's defense systems before they went dark. Their energy readings are very strange. They don't seem to make power in any way we understand." Kate studied the tactical screen where red triangles showed the alien ships. They were arranged in a loose ball shape around the planet. They didn't seem worried about the arrival of the human fleet. "Any signs of life on the planet?" Kate asked. Communications Officer Lisa Donovan looked up from her station with a hint of hope in her eyes. "Yes, ma'am. We detect several thousand human life signs, mostly in the southern mining areas and underwater habitats. Those places seem to have avoided the worst of the attack." This was a small relief, but nowhere near the 30,000 people who should have been alive. Kate pushed down her anger and focused on what to do next. "The alien ships aren't reacting to our arrival," Commander Jordan noted. "They haven't changed formation or powered up weapons." Dr. Bennett stepped closer to the tactical screen. "They might be studying us, or maybe they make decisions differently than we do. Admiral, I suggest we try to talk to them before we attack." Kate nodded. "Agreed. Open a channel on all frequencies. Send the first contact package." The first contact package was a series of mathematical patterns followed by simple language lessons and peaceful messages in multiple human languages. It was designed to help aliens understand basic human communication. The Harbinger sent this message toward the alien ships. Minutes passed with no response. "Admiral," said Craig suddenly, "the alien ships are moving." On the tactical screen, the red triangles shifted, forming what looked like an attack pattern. "Shields to maximum. Charge main weapons," Kate ordered. "But don't fire unless I give the command." The bridge crew tensed as the alien ships moved toward them. Just when it seemed they would crash into the human fleet, the vessels stopped suddenly, staying exactly 10,000 kilometers away. "They're scanning us," reported Science Officer Daniel Hayes. "Multiple types of scans, some we know, others completely new to our technology." "Admiral," Lisa called out, "we're receiving a transmission." "Put it on the main screen," Kate ordered. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered, then showed an image that made several officers gasp. The being displayed looked like it was made of crystal, see-through, with many flat sides, and no clear face or limbs. It seemed to shimmer and change shape, parts of its body constantly moving. A harsh grinding sound filled the bridge, forcing several people to cover their ears before the computer automatically lowered the volume. "The translator is trying to process the sound," Lisa said, "but it doesn't match any language pattern we know." Dr. Bennett stepped forward. "May I help, Admiral?" At Kate's nod, Laura went to the communication station and began making adjustments. "The sounds aren't language as we understand it, they're pure data. The translator is trying to turn mathematical patterns into words." After several tense minutes, the harsh sounds were replaced by a flat, computer-like voice. "Signal clear. Now, you come to distress call. Not expected." Kate stepped forward. "I am Admiral Kate Rogers of the United Alliance. You attacked a human colony and killed thousands of our people. Explain your actions now." There was a pause before the answer came. "Colony sent harmful radiation. Signal caused pain. Signal continued after warning. Had to remove source." Dr. Bennett looked up from her analysis with wide eyes. "Admiral, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. The harmful radiation they mention. It could be our normal communication systems. If these beings sense energy differently than we do." "You're saying they attacked because our colony was talking?" Commander Jordan asked in disbelief. "Not talking. More like screaming from their point of view," Laura explained. "If they feel radio waves or other signals as physical pain, our communications might have hurt them badly." Kate turned back to the alien. "The signals were not meant to harm you. They were just how we communicate. We can change our signals to avoid hurting you. Another pause. Need proof. If only communication, why increase after warning? Laura's face went pale. The colony probably boosted their signals trying to contact these beings when they first appeared, not realizing that was making things worse. Kate felt a cold understanding grow inside her. This wasn't an attack out of hatred. It was a terrible misunderstanding that had led to tragedy. Let us get our surviving people off the planet, Kate said firmly. Then we can set up proper communication that won't harm you. The crystal being shifted, its flat sides rearranging. You may get your people. New communication acceptable. Warning, more harmful signals will result in removal. As the transmission ended, Kate turned to her officers. Begin rescue operations immediately. All ships send down shuttles and rescue craft. Priority is finding survivors. Dr. Bennett was already working at a computer. Admiral, I'm making guidelines for signals that won't hurt these beings. We need to completely change how we communicate with them. Kate nodded grimly. Do it. And prepare a full report for fleet. Command. We need to alert all human colonies to change their communications immediately. As the rescue operation began, Kate stared at the tactical screen where the alien ships now sat quietly. What had started as a mission for revenge had changed into something much more complex, the beginning of a careful relationship with beings so different from humans that even basic communication had caused disaster. The 7th Battle Group had come ready for war but found a challenge that weapons couldn't solve. The real work was just starting. On the bridge of the Harbinger, Commander Jordan approached Kate. Orders, Admiral? Kate looked at the image of the crystal alien still frozen, on one screen. Deploy all rescue ships, get our people off that planet as fast as possible, and power down our weapons, but keep shields up. I don't fully trust them yet. And if they make any threatening moves? Kate's eyes hardened. Then we show them why we're called the Undertakers. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. We've had enough death today. As rescue ships launched from the human fleet, Kate watched the alien vessels carefully. They made no move to interfere. Perhaps there was hope for understanding after all. But as she watched the burning surface of Arcturus, Kate couldn't help but wonder. How many more misunderstandings might be waiting as humanity pushed further into the stars? And how many of those misunderstandings would end in blood before they ended in peace? The southern part of Arcturus was dark. Thick smoke from fires in the north blocked the sunlight. Lieutenant John Miller stepped off a shuttle onto muddy ground at Mining Outpost Delta. Around him, doctors and security teams moved quickly, following practiced routines. Lieutenant Miller, called a woman running toward him. Her white coat was dirty with mud and blood. I'm Dr. Allison Ward, the medical director here. Thank God you've come. Doctor, how many survivors do you have here? John asked. She pushed hair from her tired face. 412 people. We have another 200 badly hurt in the medical area we set up in the mining building. This outpost was built for only 200 people, so we're packed in like sardines. John checked his wrist computer, looking at the map that showed rescue operations across the southern half of the planet. 3 more shuttles are coming with medical supplies and more doctors. We'll start moving the wounded first. All around the planet, similar scenes played out as the 7th Battle Group used its resources for rescue instead of battle. The fleet that had arrived ready for war was now saving lives instead of taking them. Inside the mining building, people filled every space. Many had burns and broken bones from being caught outside during the attack from space. Some cried in pain while others sat in shock, staring with empty eyes. John moved through the crowds, helping the medical teams decide who to take to the ships first. As he worked, he looked at faces, searching for his cousin Olivia. She had worked at the main colony, but maybe she had escaped south before the attack. A young man with a bandaged arm approached him. You're looking for someone? My cousin, Olivia Miller. She was a terraforming engineer at the main colony. The man's face told John everything before he spoke. I'm sorry, I worked with her. When the attack started, she was leading a team trying to protect the atmosphere machines. They didn't make it out. John kept his face calm, as military officers are trained to do, even though pain filled his heart. Thank you for telling me. As he continued working, John's communicator beeped with an urgent message from the Harbinger. Lieutenant Miller, this is Admiral Rogers. Come to Shuttle Pad 3 right away, we have a situation. When John reached the shuttle pad, he found Admiral Rogers with Dr. Bennett and a security team standing around a glowing containment field. Inside the field was something strange, a small crystal formation that pulsed with inner light. What is that, Admiral? John asked. Kate's face was serious. According to Dr. Bennett, it's one of them, or part of one. We think it's trying to communicate directly with us. Laura stepped forward. The crystal beings can separate parts of themselves that can act on their own. This piece appeared near our biggest rescue operation about an hour ago. It hasn't done anything threatening. John studied the alien fragment. What does it want? We're not entirely sure, Laura admitted. But based on the little communication we've had, we think it's here to watch. Maybe to check if we're telling the truth about why we're here. Kate looked at John directly. I need you to take Dr. Bennett and this visitor back to the Harbinger. We're setting up a special communication lab where we can interact with it safely for both sides. John understood how important this job was. This small crystal piece might be the key to preventing more misunderstandings and conflicts. As they prepared to move the alien, a sudden shaking hit the ground. Everyone looked around in alarm. Earthquake? John asked. Laura checked her instruments. No, it's not from the planet. She was cut off by an urgent call from the Harbinger. Admiral, the alien ships are moving. They're forming a geometric pattern around the planet. Through breaks in the clouds, they could see the dark shapes of the alien ships moving into new positions. They're powering up something, came the report from orbit. Energy readings are extremely high. For a tense moment, Kate feared they had misunderstood the aliens' intentions, that this had all been a trick before a final attack. But Laura's instruments told a different story. Admiral, they're not charging weapons. I think they're trying to fix the damage to the planet. From orbit, the crew of the Harbinger watched in amazement as beams of energy extended from each alien ship, connecting to form a net-like pattern around Arcturus. Where the energy touched the atmosphere, the smoke and pollution began to clear. Fires that had burned for days suddenly went out. They're cleaning the atmosphere, Laura explained, her voice filled with wonder. They're fixing the mess. Over the next several hours, as the evacuation continued, the alien ship stayed in position, their energy web gradually restoring Arcturus's atmosphere to how it was before the attack. The crystal fragment remained calm during transport to the Harbinger, where it was placed in the hastily built communication lab. In her office, Kate reviewed the latest reports. 8,342 survivors found. More than 20,000 confirmed dead, with the rest still missing. It was a terrible toll, all from a misunderstanding that neither side had been able to prevent. As she prepared her report for Fleet Command, Kate knew that humanity's understanding of its place in the galaxy had fundamentally changed. The 7th Battle Group, the deadliest fleet humanity had ever built, had arrived ready for war but found instead a tragedy without villains, only victims on both sides of a communication gap wider than the space between stars. The real challenge was just beginning. On the medical deck of the Harbinger, John sat beside a bed where a young girl lay sleeping. Her parents had been killed in the attack, and she had been found hiding in a storage closet for 2 days without food or water. Will she be okay? John asked the doctor. Physically, yes. The rest will take time. John looked out the window at the planet below, where the crystal ship's energy web still worked to heal the damaged world. He thought of Olivia and the thousands of others who would never go home again. Was it worth it? He asked quietly. All this death just because we couldn't talk to each other properly? The doctor had no answer. Some questions had none. In the communication lab, Dr. Bennett worked tirelessly with the crystal fragment, trying to build a bridge between two species that perceived reality in completely different ways. It was slow, frustrating work, but she refused to give up. "We have to find a way," she told her team, "so this never happens again." Admiral Rogers entered the lab, her face showing the weight of command. "Any progress, Doctor?" "Some. I think I understand now why our communications hurt them. Their bodies naturally resonate with certain energy frequencies. Our standard communications were like hitting them with hammers." Kate nodded. "Then we'll change how we communicate. All colonies will be notified, no more hammers." As she turned to leave, Laura called after her. "Admiral, what happens next? With them, I mean." Kate paused at the door. "That's not just my decision anymore. But whatever happens, the 7th battle group will be ready. Ready for war. Ready for peace. Ready for whatever the stars might bring next." 6 months after the Arcturus incident, a new space station hung in the emptiness between human space and what was now called the Crystal Domain. The station, named Harmony, was humanity's biggest peace project ever built. Admiral Kate Rogers stood at the main window, watching as a team of human diplomats prepared to enter a special meeting room. Beside her, Dr. Laura Bennett made final checks on the advanced translation system they had created after learning from their mistakes at Arcturus. "Will it work?" Kate asked, nodding toward the room where the conditions had been carefully set, to let both species exist comfortably. "The translator is much better than what we had 6 months ago," Laura replied. "We now understand that they don't use language like we do. They communicate through complex math patterns and energy waves. What they felt as pain was actually our messy data broadcasts creating chaos in their perception." Commander Eric Jordan joined them at the window. "The evacuation of Arcturus is finished. The terraforming teams say that thanks to the crystal beings' help in cleaning the atmosphere, we should be able to build a new colony there in about 5 years. If we decide to." Kate nodded, her face serious. 23,614 lives lost because we couldn't understand each other. We can't let that happen again. The new Arcturus protocol should prevent similar problems, Laura said, referring to the new communication rules now required for all human colonies and ships. All our transmissions are now mathematically structured to avoid hurting crystal perception. Inside the meeting room, the human diplomatic team, led by Ambassador Paul Martinez, took their places as the room was sealed. On the opposite side of the room, a shimmering crystal formation much larger than the fragment they had found on Arcturus appeared through a special matter transfer system. The translation system activated, converting the crystal's complex mathematical signals into human speech while also turning human language into structured energy patterns. "We acknowledge your presence," came the translated crystal communication. "The pain-causing signals have stopped. Peace is possible." Ambassador Martinez responded carefully. "We regret the harm that our communications caused your people. The deaths of our colonists were a tragedy born of misunderstanding, not hate. We want to create rules to make sure such misunderstandings never happen again." As this historic first diplomatic meeting continued, Kate turned to Laura. "Do they even understand concepts like regret or tragedy? How can we be sure they understand what happened from our perspective?" Laura thought about this. "They understand patterns and disruptions to patterns. The loss of life represents a disruption to what they now recognize as our natural state. Their efforts to repair Arcturus's atmosphere suggests they have some concept, similar to making amends." Over the next several hours, the diplomatic team worked on what would eventually become the Arcturus Accord, a complete agreement that established communication protocols, territory boundaries, and scientific exchange programs between humans and crystals. In honor of those lost, a memorial would be built on Arcturus once the planet was habitable again, not only for the human colonists, but also acknowledging the crystal fragments that had been hurt during the conflict. As the first session ended, Kate received an urgent call from Fleet Command. She excused herself and moved to a private area to take the call. "Admiral Rogers, how is the diplomatic meeting going?" "Better than expected, sir. I believe a lasting agreement is possible." "Good, because we need the 7th Battle Group elsewhere. We've detected strange energy signatures near the Tau Ceti colony. Nothing certain yet, but after Arcturus, we're taking no chances. Kate felt the familiar tension return. Yes, sir. The nth will be ready to deploy as soon as the diplomatic handover is complete. As she ended the call, Kate looked out at the stars. Humanity had learned a costly lesson at Arcturus, that the biggest danger in exploring the galaxy wasn't necessarily evil intent, but the huge potential for misunderstanding when completely different forms of life met each other. The seventh battle. Group Humanity's Deadliest fleet had responded to an SOS with overwhelming force, only to discover that sometimes the most powerful weapons were useless. In the end, it was understanding, not firepower, that had prevented a disaster from becoming an interstellar war. As she watched the crystal delegate shimmer in the meeting room, Kate knew the universe was vastly more complex than humanity had imagined. Different beyond belief, yet engaged in the universal search for finding common ground.